The goal of the Abuja debate is, first of all, to stimulate solution-oriented conversations. We as Nigerians know how to discuss issues in Nigeria, isn't it? But this forum is a step more than that. We expect solutions to be proffered in the discussions that will take place tonight. Secondly, we are hoping that we will be able to stimulate, as we're joining other people that are doing debates, a culture of public debate in our society, so that the opinion of the normal, everyday citizens of Nigeria, like you and me, can be married with the policies of the government. We also hope that at the end of all of this, we'll be able to bridge the gap between the society and government and hopefully sustain democracy. Tonight, we haven't come to fight anyone. In fact, you see the man and the woman present here, and all of us belong to different parties. But we have one sure thing uniting us, a love for Nigeria, and that no one can take from us. A love for Nigeria to usher in a new order that this nation desires. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the Abuja debate by Heroes 217. You're welcome.
I would say many people in the north do not have the same sense of the Nigerian state. Radicalization in the north that is happening right now is the disconnect from what is going on in the nation of Nigeria.
Now, given everything that INEC, all the measures that INEC has put in place, everything it has done so far, the registration with the machines, everything it says it's going to do on election day proper, do you think there is any real danger of the April elections being rigged on the day?
Of course, there is a danger of the elections being rigged. Why do I say that? Irrespective of whatever plan, whatever system put in place by man, the man factor will also portend the danger for the failure, because the rigging of the election will also be a failure of the system put in place to give us fair and fair elections. Because you cannot, there is no system that can remove the desire from certain people to want to do wrong.
The issue is not very simple as per based on the registration exercise so far conducted. Because the registration is one aspect of the whole election preparatory steps towards an election. And from the registration exercise I've seen so far, it doesn't point to a serious danger of rigging.
So does everybody here believe those figures? 72 million Nigerians registered. Is that true?
I don't know. I try to do the math, 72 million Nigerians registered on the average of 120 DDC machines, a lot of which were not functional when they initially started. Then take the first 5 days. There were a lot of logistic problems. Either the staff didn't know how to operate the machines, or the machines were not picking fingerprints, or it was taking an hour and a half to register each person. And then we barely had a month. Let's include the areas where there was an extension of some sort. I doubt.
I belong to this network of NGOs, and we were sharing internet information about what was going on in all the registration booths and all the states and all the centers, and people were giving encouraging information. Yes, so that's very high figure. It's disputable, but the figure is high. I don't even believe INEC, I really don't want to believe INEC gave specific statistics. They just gave a rule of thumb.
Does anybody here think there's any real danger of the April elections not even holding at all because of some rogue court judgments out of anywhere?
You have to juxtapose that against the desire of Nigerians to have elections in April by hook and by crook. That is a given. Whatever political somersaults are going to come into place. We control what INEC does. We determine what INEC does.
Does INEC have the power to enforce internal democracy in parties?
Going by the new Electoral Act, the INEC is given the power to regulate political parties. This regulation also includes monitoring of their primaries and so on. But INEC lacks the power to pick. It is the parties that will submit to INEC.
Even if INEC should not be choosing for the parties, but INEC has the right to refuse a candidate that has come as a result of a faulty process which they monitored.
It is the duty of INEC to recognize the party leaders in each political party. Now, if INEC recognized the chairman of a political party in a particular state, why should INEC accept an invitation from somebody who is not the recognized chairman for another congress elsewhere?
Once there is a dispute and a faction breaks out, INEC doesn't give a chairman of the party a certificate. They don't. So the dispute breaks out, we're here, we disagree. And we're the same family. INEC is not in that family. INEC is watching from outside.
Hang on.
They cannot
Tim has something to say. Jump in.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to the power of INEC with respect to the candidates of the party, you will observe that we have had a lot of problems of lack of internal democracy in the parties. And that was the reason why some portions of the Electoral Act were sort of adjusted, or they did amendments to those portions to sort of make it more difficult for you to violate principles of democracy within the party, competitions within the parties. So somehow you are not supposed to forward the name of a person who came last in a political contest within the party. So the presence of INEC in the primaries was to ensure that things went according to the rules.
But see, if they don't go according to the rules,
yes, I'm coming to
INEC.
that. Yes, the presence of INEC and security agencies in the primaries was to ensure that things were done according to the rules. Now, if the rules are not followed, and then there is a dispute, it is the party that is supposed to say that, look, this is our candidate. But of course, if the party brings a candidate that isn't the person who won at the primaries, there will be disputes. Now, those disputes will be settled at the courts.
Everything that has to do with elections in Nigeria is governed by law, one law or the other. The Electoral Act is there, the Constitution is there. There are other pockets of laws around, even the Criminal Code, you would find provisions that would govern the conduct of political parties, from their media publications to, how much they can expend on electoral campaigns and all of that. Now, I think at the end of the day, your question was, where will salvation come from? Salvation will come from the judiciary. Because if INEC's powers are limited, then at the end of the day, even internal party issues will have to be determined by a court of law, I think.
I personally feel the way INEC went about it this time was slightly different. And they've kind of limited the chances of rigging. But I don't know if it's just I'm being naive about that.
The ground rules of Nigerian politics, the realities of Nigerian politics, which is basically that public office is so economically attractive, mean that there is a default incentive to rig. The stakes are too high for people to be calm and play by the rules of civilized democracies. The stakes are too high. If you're going to be in Nigeria, basically what public office does is that it can transform you from a lower middle class person to an upper class person, to the point where generationally your family may not need to worry about economic realities anymore, and our country is very poor. So the stakes are simply too high. So to get to a point where we even begin to imagine that we can eliminate rigging as a possibility, we have to think of ways in which to make political office less economically attractive so that it's people that want to serve, that want to get there in the first place.
Okay. Now, in the long run, looking at the picture in the long run, do you think it's a good or a bad thing for Nigeria politically that Goodluck Jonathan ignored the zoning arrangement